Now from New York City. Professor, good to have you on the program with us. How common are discrepancies and legal challenges in U.S. presidential elections?
Well, they're not common, but they're not unheard of either. I mean, the most typical thing is that there might be a sort of cosmetic request for a recount, such as people may remember Hillary Clinton did, I think, or at least Jill Stein, the third party candidate, asked for some recounts either in Wisconsin or Michigan last time around. A few votes were changed, nothing significant. That kind of thing's pretty run of the mill, and nobody bats an eye because it doesn't change large numbers of votes. You know, once in a great while, you have something like the 2000 election, where I'm sure many people remember, wasn't that long ago, George Bush and Al Gore went to court for a month before the decision was settled. It was 537 votes that were the margin, and the whole president hung in the balance. This time it's a little different. It's possible it could come down to just one state. But if, as seems likely, Biden wins by a margin of 2 or even 3 states, that would be a much bigger lift for Donald Trump to succeed in getting courts to overturn the verdict in multiple states. So what we're looking at this year is very unusual in that sense.
David, we have a situation where President Trump has come out and declared victory even before all the votes have been counted. What impact does this have on Americans' perception of the validity of the election? And do you think that that's his ultimate goal?
Well, look, it's very unfortunate that Donald Trump, by calling into question the legitimacy of the vote, is sowing doubt and, in fact, getting a large number of his followers, surely, to believe him. There's no evidence for what he says. There's absolutely nothing to support the claim that anything is going wrong here. The only thing that is going differently is the fact that we have this huge number of mail-in votes because we're in the middle of a pandemic, and a lot of people didn't want to go out and vote in person, so they mailed them in, and states made it easier for them to do so. And it takes a lot more time to open up envelopes and take out the ballots than it does for a computer. When I vote with a scanner, I just slide it into the machine. The vote is immediately registered. So yeah, it's going to take a few days. That's normal. Nothing's going wrong. They're in the process of counting the votes. And so Trump, yeah, he's trying to sow doubt because he wants to hold on to power. That is really unfortunate because, you know, most sensible people will recognize that this is a political ploy. But there are a lot of people, out of loyalty to him or because they inhabit a media universe where they only hear the president's words and those of his supporters, they are unfortunately going to believe him, and that's going to make life difficult.
Yeah, and thank you for pointing out that nothing is going wrong with the vote counting, because I think it's easy from an outside perspective to look and say, well, we don't, 2-3 days later, we still don't know who's going to be president, and feel like this is a very chaotic situation. But the vote counting of absentee ballots is a normal part of the election process. But as you pointed out, we just have a lot more than usual this year. But what about this election differs from other presidential elections?
Well, look, I think the main 2 things that are different are, one, the pandemic, which has led to this unusually large number of absentee or mail-in ballots, and that means the count is going to take longer. And the other thing that's unusual is you have Donald Trump. I mean, he really is a very different character from what we've seen in the White House before. He's someone who has shown himself to be primarily interested in putting his own wishes first, his own political needs, to even, I think, sometimes convince himself that whatever is in his best interests is true. And that, he's a very peculiar character, you have to admit, whether you love him or hate him or feel otherwise. And I think most presidents in his position, they might still hold out hope that they could win, but their remarks would be very different from what Trump's were tonight. The remarks would be along the lines of, well, I think we're going to win, we're gaining in Arizona and we're going to hold on in Georgia, or something to that effect. There are ways he could have spoken that would be more in keeping with a normal president. But we've known for many years that Donald Trump is not a normal president.
Yeah, normal is not a word we associate with Trump. And that's part of the reason why the media loves him so much, loves him or hates him, but they show him all the time on TV. The media is a common target of the president. How much of a role has the media played in this election?
Well, look, the television, I mean, when we say the media, there's so many components to media these days: newspaper, social media, television. For many decades now, television has really been the central vehicle through which Americans learn about the news, learn about political events, learn about the political campaign. So invariably, that is some kind of a filter. Traditionally, though, the American media, television media, newspapers have done a pretty good job, not perfect, about being objective and trying to tell the truth as they see it, not to be partisan. And in this case, I think with Donald Trump, his presidency has challenged the media. On the one hand, he has attacked them relentlessly as fake, as unreliable. On the other hand, reporters have been tempted to let go of their aspiration to objectivity and sort of come out and attack Trump more, which I think is not how reporters ought to be operating. Let the people decide, tell the people the facts, but you don't have to go and insult or antagonize the president in the process, because that's going to signal his supporters that you're not telling it straight.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much, David Greenberg, professor of history and of journalism and media studies. Appreciate your time with us today.